Hello guys, welcome to today's video. So I'll be retouching this image today. I previously recorded the video and it came out without this sound, so now I'm doing a voiceover for this video. So I'll be walking you guys through on how I went from this to the end image. So right now I'm starting the image with capture one. From capture one, I'll now take the image to Photoshop to retouch. So the first thing I'm going to do for this image is the white balance. I'm going to use the dropper tool here and I'm going to use that to select a gray or white area on the image to auto correct the white balance for me. So I like this feel it's giving me right now. You see, this is a before and after of the image. So this is, I'm going to adjust the white. I adjusted the white balance a bit. Yeah. So from here, I added greens, a little bit of green to the image. Then now my contrast, I'm taking my contrast down. Okay, this is fine. What is I'm going to take my highlight down. Then my shadows, I'm taking my shadows down. Blanks, taking it down, -5. Then next is the levels, and I'm going to be taking it high a bit, pull this up. Yeah, so this is okay. Then I'm going to, I like this to be at 1 or 2, so I'll leave this at 1. Then next is my curves layer. Now for my curves layer, what I like doing is the reverse S curve, which is what I'm doing here. Reverse S curve. Now for the reverse S curve, you know how the reverse of S is, and this is it here, the reverse S curve. This is what I do for this image. So now I'm going to go to my color editor. For my color editor, I start first with the red of the color, and then I'll take the hue down to -3.2, saturation down. Okay, then my lightness down a bit. Then after this, I go to the orange. I take my orange down to -2, saturation down, then lightness down. So for this, I don't really do much with capture one based on color grading and all. I just fix my skin tone to fit my preference and also the exposure. That is just what I do with capture one before taking the image to Photoshop. So the next, I select the yellows and then I push it down, the saturation down a bit, and then lightness, I take it down. So this is the before and the after of the image. So next, I go to the advanced color editor. I will use the picker tool here to select the skin tone which I want to work on. So I'll select these skin tones. Now for the advanced, you can select as many parts of the skin tone you want to select and also adjust the color how you want it to be. So I've selected this part of the skin. When I select it, I now take my hue down, my saturation down a bit, then I go to the skin tone and then select here. Okay, it is okay. Then take my hue down, then also does down. My saturation, I'll take it down a bit, and lightness down. So this is the before and after, before and after. I don't do much here. Then next I go to my color balance. So in my color balance right here, what I do first is I work with the shadow. For my shadow, I'm going to be taking it down towards the blue to see where it's actually blue. There is okay. Then I'm going to bring this down, and yeah, that's okay. So for my midtone, I go to my midtone. The first thing I do here is to bring down the exposure of my midtone a bit down using this. Bring it down a bit. Then the color, I take it towards the orange part of the image. Then take it up a bit. Yeah, that's okay. Then for my highlights, I'm going to take it up to the orange part too. Then increase the saturation a bit. Up. Increase that. Yeah, before and after. So after this, I go to refine here because Capture One automatically sharpens your image for you. So what I do is go to take it down because I don't want that. I sharpen my image in Photoshop. I don't want this, so I'm going to take it down, then go back to adjust. So this is basically everything I do in Capture One. This is the before and after, before and after, before and after. So that is what I do in Capture One. So now the next thing I do after this is I take this image to Photoshop and start my retouching process there. So right now I'm going to right click on this area and go to edit with Adobe Photoshop, PSD, okay. So yeah, this is my image right now on Photoshop. And the first thing I do is to duplicate the background layer. And this background layer is what I'll use to work on the blemishes. I duplicate that and I just work on the blemishes, take out the blemishes in the image. And the tool I use to take out this blemish is the patch tool. That is my best tool. That's why I love using this tool, is because it helps maintain details when you're taking out the blemishes, the details and the texture of the spots where the blemish was. So I'm going to zoom in. I'll start taking out the blemishes. So for this process of me taking out the blemishes, I'm going to speed ramp this, and then after I'm done with this, I'll continue with the video. So when I want to remove the blemishes, when I want to remove the smaller blemishes in the image, I prefer not to use the patch tool here. I go to use my healing brush tool right here. I use that and then go into the image and just click and drag on the smaller blemishes, which you can see here. So here I'm going to zoom out here. This is the before and the after, before and the after. And just take out some of it around the neck area. So this is it. I'm done with that. So up next, the first thing I do on my image is to use the micro dodge and burn. So I'm going to guess the micro dodge and burn action from Prince Mason. This is it right here. Did the action. Now this is the action. Now I can as well show you guys how to create this from scratch. It's not very difficult to do that. So I'm going to delete this. All you have to do is go to your adjustments and select curve, 2 curves. So the first curve is for your burn and the second one is for your dodge. So here I'm going to just take this from the center up a bit around this area, and the next one I'm going to go to my second curve, bring this down and invert the mask. Control I, Control or Command I, Control or Command I. So this is it. This is just a group the layer. This is it, your dodge and burn. It's as simple as that to create your dodge and burn layers. So I'm going to delete that and just go with the action. Yeah, so this is it. So I'm going to select my brush to soft brush, not hard brush, and then soft round brush, hardness at 0, then opacity 100, the flow I'll take it down to 1, and then I'm going to go for my invert check layer, and this is my check layer. So what I do with this check layer is, firstly I'll delete the levels out because I don't usually use the levels. So I'm going to go in and then put in the black and white layer and then put in 2 curve layers. Then take 1 curve down to the gradients and 1 curve for the black and white. I'm going to turn off, put the first curve and the black and white layer and start with the gradient map. Now this is the gradient map. For now, with the way the gradient map is, I can't really see anything here because the exposure is too much. I'm going to go to my curve layers. I'm going to pull this down and take this so I can begin to see the details. Now I'm using, this is okay. So I'm going to come to my micro dodge and burn layers. So now working with the gradient map while using your micro dodge and burn can be a bit complicated because I'm going to show you guys what I mean. Now I'll go back, use my normal dodge and burn so you can see the before and after, the effects of the micro dodge and burn. I'm going to use my dodge layer right here, use my brush, set with the opacity of 1 as usual. Then I'm going to paint on the white, on the black differences I'm seeing here, the dark differences I'm seeing here. I'm going to brush on that and you're going to see the difference between this and the burn. Now for the burn, I'm going to paint over the overly exposed part, the brighter image where you can see the difference between the highlights and the shadow, which will create the blemish on the face. So right now I'm going to brush with the dodge. So you can see the before and after. Now you can see this area right here is being affected. Now I'm going to go with the burn. Go to paint here. I'm going to go before and after for the burn, before, after, before, after, before, after. So now this is just the simple explanation. I'm going to undo all this for this. Then to make this more accurate, to make my blend more accurate, I like using the gradient map first to see the difference. So now here comes the complicated part about the gradient map. The gradient map, over time you get used to working with the gradient map as your check layer, because when I first started it was a bit confusing, but once you understand, for the gradient map you can see we have the white part and the dark part. Now the dark part represents the brightest part of the image. Now you can see this if I turn off the gradient map, you can see that the dark part is the highlight of the image, while the bright part is like the shadow, the dark side of the image. So that is where it's a bit confusing, where you'll be confused on where to brush on using your micro dodge and burn. Now for micro dodge and burn, when you're using the gradient check layer, all you have to do is, when you're seeing the differences, you use your brush to paint over the white area of the gradients. Now when you paint over the white area of the gradients, you see you begin to bring in gray or black as you're painting to balance it out. So now for your burn, it's the same thing but the opposite way. When you brush over the dark area of the image, you introduce white to it because of the gradients. Now I'm going to paint this and show you what I mean. Now I'm painting with my dodge on the bright part of the image. I'm brushing over it, and then I'll show you the before and the after. So this is the before and the after. Now you can see that the brush only affects here. I'm going to turn off my check layer, and you can see the before and after on the dark area of the image, the dark area. So it's very simple but very complicated at the same time, because when you first start, like me, sometimes I make mistake to keep burning on the darkest part of the image, and when I go turn off the check layer, I see that I've ruined the image. So this is what you should keep at the back of your mind, that when you're dodging on the gradient map, you paint over the white parts, the highlighted part of the image, the part that is the brightest of the image, to blend in the image. And now we're going to just keep dodging here, dodge here. I keep dodging these areas that are, I'm seeing the difference between the highlights and the shadow. So this before and after, before and after. Now you can see the blend coming in before and after, before and after. So now you can see that as I'm painting over the white area in the gradients, it's taking care of the dark spots, the dark blemishes on the actual image. So I'm going to turn on my check layer again, zooming. So now for my micro dodge and burn, what I do is I like zooming into the image and try to fix the smaller details of the image. Now why I do this is where I am using less of frequency separation, or not even using frequency separation for the image, where I want my image or the retouch to come out perfectly. I zoom in to work on the details and try to fix this difference. So I'm brushing over here. I like paint at going in so I can work on the smaller differences, so I can make it blend between the dark and the bright areas. And before and after. Now you can see the difference before and after. Before and after. Next, I go to the dodge. I try to blend out this dark parts here on the gradients, make it blend, as you can see, to reduce the difference. Now why I prefer using micro dodge and burn most times, because it doesn't destroy the texture of your image. Because using frequency separation most times can affect the texture of your image. I prefer using this because it keeps the image natural and also doesn't give this obvious, really make it obvious that you retouch using frequency separation. It gives it the natural look of the image. It doesn't damage the texture of the image too. I'm going to speed this up a bit because this process is going to take at least an hour to finish, because I'm going to be paying attention to the details. Then another thing I do when I'm working on micro dodge and burn is that I keep working with my curves, adjusting my curves to see more differences between the dark and the bright side of the image. I can blend it out in the almost accurate way. As you can see right here, this is the before and the after. Before and after. Sometimes I can turn off my check layer, so it helps when you work with your check layer without your check layer, just to see the image from a different perspective, like with the gradient map, with your black and white layer, without your black and white layer, with your check layer, without your check layers. Now you get to see what you're doing, your progress, and where you need to fix when you toggle between these options. Right now, I'm going to use my black and white. Same thing with my black and white. I change my curves to make me see the difference. You can see on the screen before and after. You can see where I've actually worked on and where needs to be worked on. So I'll go there and I'll go use my dodge and paints fix. So sometimes you don't just need to stay zoomed in to edit the details. I zoom in, zoom out, and see the picture on a wider perspective and see where I need to brush. So this is where we are right now. I'm going to turn off my check layer. This process of micro dodge and burn took me about 1 hour. So there, this is the before and after of what we've done so far, before and after. You can see that the image looks better. So right, I'm going to delete my check layer before and after. So now, as you can see on the image, with micro dodge and burn, if you can look at some areas of the image where I have dodged or burn, you can see there's a color difference. It brings these orange patches on the face, as you can see in these areas. So to fix this, so I'm going to go my hue saturation layer, clip it down to the dodge, and also add one to the burn, hue saturation, and clip it, go to my hue on the dodge, take the hue down a bit. If I take the hue all the way down, you can actually see the areas affected. So I'm going to take this, select my reds, come down, take it down a bit, take it up a bit, then I'll reduce the lightness and take the saturation down. Before and after, before and after. I don't know if you can actually see the difference, but I can see it before and after. This area right here, this is before and after. I'll reduce the saturation again, before and after. Then I'll also do this to the burn, just reduce the saturation, make this high, before and after. So this is it for the micro dodge and burn, before and after, before and after. Next, I'm going to merge visible layer, Control or Command Shift E to merge. Then I'm going to go, then I'm going to resize this image to what I want to work with, because after this I'm going to be doing the frequency separation on this image. So resize this. Okay, this is okay. Yeah, better. So next, I don't want the dress of the model to show on this image. I'm going to select it and also do the content aware. So I'm going to select the dress, go to Fill, Content Aware, and okay. Select this other part. Go to Fill, then Content Aware. I'm going to pick up my patch tool and blend these areas. After that, I'll merge visible again and Command or Control Shift E. Then I'll go to my action panel and go to my frequency separation. I'll use the advanced frequency separation here. I got it from Prince Mason. Okay. For this, I'll reduce the radius of the Gaussian blur to so 7.2 is fine. 7.2 is fine. And play. Then yeah, with the advanced frequency separation, I use my mixer brush tool with the width of 20, load 20, mix 20, flow 20. Then I begin to brush. So all I'm doing right now is to just brush softly through the image to make it look more clean. I'm gonna brush this area. So I'll speed this up so we can go to the next thing. So this is the before and the after of the frequency separation. Reduce the opacity. So now I can see that there's a difference between the skin tone of the hands and the face. I'm going to try to match it using the color correction method. I'm going to use my hue saturation layer for this. Use the picker to highlight the color. Pop up the hue and saturation. Pop up the hue and saturation, then come down here and then take this till the skin is selected. Close this area. Is it? Then double tap on my hue and double tap on my saturation and take my hue down. And after taking my hue down, I will mask it. Go to my brush, flow of 100, opacity of 100, and paint over the hand. Paint over the hand. As you can see, the before and the after, before and the after. I'll go to the reds of the image and increase the opacity a bit. Reduce the brightness, reduce the lightness, and take my saturation and the hue. Okay. Take the saturation. Okay. This is okay. Before and after. I'll bring down the saturation a bit. Before and after. Before and after. You can now see the color correction. I can see that some of the areas of the image here have some areas that are a bit dark. So I'm going to also color correct that by selecting my hue adjustment layer and also select the color I want this to affect. Then I'm going to take up the saturation to 100, hue to 180, then come down and adjust this slider. Okay, this is okay. Bring it in just for the skin. So after this, I'll double tap the hue, double tap the saturation, and it takes it to 0. Then I'll work on the hue. Then I'm going to invert the mask, Ctrl I. I'm going to paint only on these areas that are looking a bit darker. Lay here a bit. So after the color correction, what I do next is I go to the even skin tone by Prince Mason, click on it to even the skin tone out. For this first point, I'm going to select the highlights, and for the second point, it's for the midtones, and then the last point is for the shadows of the image. just select and then brush at 100, flow at 100, and then paint over the skin to give it an even skin tone. Even skin tone. So up next, I'm going to contour the image. What I do is I use the micro dodge and bones action, place, rename it to contour. Then I change the blend mode to luminosity for both the dodge and the bone. So after that, I pick up my brush, so opacity at 100, then flow, I'll put the flow at 2. Then I'll go up, bring up my black and white layer. So this enables me to see clearly where to dodge and to burn. So I dodge the highlights of the image, the brightest part, and burn the shadows of the image. This is how I do this. Brush over here, brush over here, brush over these areas. Brush over the lips line to make it pop out. Then use the bone over here. And as you can see, before and after. You can see it has given the face a little bit of structure and also contrast. All I do is to reduce the opacity a bit. So next, I will do the next contour on the face. And this is something I learned from a photographer named Joey Dutch. I'll create new curve layers, 2 new curve layers. Change the first blend mode to multiply, and the second one I change the blend mode to screen. After that, I double click down here for blend if, and then I come here, pull this slider up so it just affects the highlights. Then press Alt, click on the center of this to separate this, and take it all the way to the end. I'll select the curve with the screen blending mode here, then go to blend if, move the slider up, let it just affect the shadow of the image. Click on the center of this to separate this and take it all the way to the end. You group this contour to and mask. Go to image, apply image, and then OK. I can see before and after. You can see how it made the image pop out more. All I do is to reduce the opacity a bit. Before and after, before and after. So the next thing I do is to clean up my eyes and teeth. I'll go to the eyes and teeth whitening action by Prince Mason up here. The 8 come, zoom in, opacity at 100, brush at 100, then paint the eyes. After that, I come to the curve, reduce the opacity of the curve down to 50, then come to the opacity of the group and reduce that down. So yeah, okay, this is okay. So I'll also play. So if I were to brush the teeth, I'll brush the teeth too. I'll brush the teeth. zoom out, before and after. Then go to the second eyes and teeth. Do this. Delete and paint a series. Then come to the curves, reduce the opacity. Then come to the group, also reduce the opacity. Before and after. Before and after. What I'll do next is to add a little bit of blush to this image, because the model on this image did not do any makeup for these shoots. It's all natural here. So what I'll do is I'll create a new layer, then use my brush to increase the opacity and flow to 100, reduce my brush size, then I'll just draw strokes. Maybe this. And come down here and do the same here. What I'll do, I'll go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Take this up to, okay, this is okay. Okay. Then change the blend mode to soft light and then reduce the opacity. That's it, before and after. Before and after. You see, I just want the blush to be subtle, not too much. Before and after. Before. Take this up a bit. So before and after. Before and after. Before and after. So after this, I'll go to the lips and also paint the lips a bit. And the brush. Then change the blend mode to soft light. Reduce opacity down. I don't want it to be too much. Just take it down. Before and after. You can see I'll just zoom in, pins down here. Yeah, perfect. Reduce the opacity a bit. And group this. I call this makeup. Before and after, before and after. Just very subtle, nothing too much. So up next, what I'll do is use the rich tone action by Chris Mason to make the image pop out more too. And after this, I'll reduce the opacity down to, okay, this is okay. Before and after. Okay, before and after. So next up, I'll add my Luts. This Luts, I created it some years back. I was like 3 to 4 years ago, and I still use the Luts of my image. Now I'll bring in the color lookup layer. Then open this and go to load 3D Lut. And the first one, I use my light skin. I call this light skin back then, but it's actually for dark skin because I created it some years back when I was learning how to create Luts on my own. Now we just reduce the opacity down to 13. I see the before and after. Then I'll go bring in the second Lut. Use this one. Reduce the opacity down. Before and after. Before and after. I'll take the opacity down a bit again. Before and after. So the next thing, I'll bring in my levels, hold on Alt and pull this slide down until I begin to see whites coming on in the image. Then I'll leave it at that. Then my level is always at 1, the shadow part 1. Bring this back again. Before after. Then I'll reduce the opacity a bit. Okay, this is okay. Before after. So the next thing I do is to add my curves. I add 2 curves to the image. The first one will be my reverse S curve. Do that, pull this up, pull this down. It makes the image looks a bit soft. And then reduce the opacity down, then use my S curve. This, yeah. Before and after. Okay, then reduce the opacity down, and this is okay. Before and after, before and after, and after. Then this down a bit. Opacity before and after. Next thing I'll do is to add my color balance layer. I'll add that. Then for the mitten, I'll take my reds up a bit. And magenta. And blues. Then I go to my highlight. Take it down to the cyan. -2 is okay. And greens. Then yellow. Green. Before and after. So after this, I'll group everything. I call this CG, that is color grade. Before and after, before and after. You can see how the image pops out, the color looks natural, everything looks natural and clean. Before and after. Before and after. The next now is to sharpen my image. So I'll be using the Smart Sharpen action from Race Mason to put it at 1. Okay. Then for this, I would sharpen just the eyes of the image. Then here, reduce the opacity. Then bring in another sharpen layer. Radius of 1. Reduce the opacity. This is to sharpen the whole image. Reduce the opacity down. Then after this, I will merge all visible layers. So I'll take it to liquefy because I want to fix some things on the image. I will take this, merge this in, bring this down. This down. And I'll go. And I'll go to the face shape. The chin heights, I will take it up. Okay, this is okay. Then for the forehead, it's okay at 0. Then jawline, minus 14 is okay. Then face width, minus 10 is fine. And I'll push this in a bit. I'll reduce the size, take the hairs. Okay. Then I go to the eyes, change the angle of the eye, tilt it, then okay. You can see the before and the after, very huge difference. So after this, I'm going to merge visible again. This is the final image of everything. I'm going to take you down. This is the before and the after of the image. We started from here, and this is the final image, before and after. And you can see how clean the image is and how natural it still looks, maintaining the textures and the details. Before and after. So thank you guys for joining me in this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video, and also drop a comment if you have any question concerning this whole process. And see you guys in my next video, because I'll be dropping more tutorials on how to take your images from 0 to 100.